There's Cowboys and Indians, and there's Indian Cowboys. This is sometimes a forgotten aspect of Canadian history that goes back to the early 1900s, when young First Nations men left their reserves to seek work on cattle ranches across the West. There are still a few Indian Cowboys around, and they still remember their heroes.
Here comes Jay Lewis from Vernon, British Columbia. He's on a good horse. This horse can really buck, folks, so watch this. Now we've got a good combination, a high jumping, high kicking, bucking horse, and Jay Lewis. He found the timing. That was a very, very good ride. And if I were the judge, I'd probably give him a pretty nice score. Let's see what the real judges thought about it. Oh, they liked it too. 75 points. 75. So that takes the lead now.
Tom Three Persons from the Blood Nation was the first world champion bronc rider at the initial Calgary Stampede in 1912. Tom was 26 when he won riding the great horse Cyclone. There's been many professional native champions since then, like the late great Kenny McLean. He won 14 major rodeo championships over his career. These rodeo stars of the past continue to be an inspiration to the Indian Cowboys of today. A cold winter morning and Blaine Lewis is up early and off to feed his herd of cows. He runs his ranch and he works at a local cattle auction. During these cold months, he's thinking about spring. That's when the practice arena is ready and he can get down to the business of roping steers.
Yeah, I was ranching and cowboying. A lot of that was instilled in us. Started at a very early age from my grandfather and my dad, then my uncles, and then to my brothers. Charlie, then Oliver, then Cease, then I. I was 12 or 13 and started riding colts and stuff.
The Lewis family has passed on the love of bronc riding to two nephews, Jay and Ben Lewis. These two have won numerous bronc riding championships.
Ben Lewis, the 1998 Canadian Now the Saddle Bronc champion, is getting set to go. They like to measure it just right. Ben Lewis, champion.
Ben retired after a successful 15-year career to pursue a teaching degree. For the past 23 years, Jay has continued to ride broncs. Unfortunately, the numbers of First Nations that embrace this culture and lifestyle is in decline.
Yeah, I think there's probably a number of factors. I think it's more of a reflection of society in general. We're definitely moving away from an agricultural lifestyle. Yeah. All of my uncles grew up, depending on horses. Yeah. And nowadays I just finished a few years ago working on a cattle ranch with 400 head of cows, and we didn't use a horse for anything.
Yeah, I've seen them decline a lot in the rough stock. The roping and stuff like that, they're pretty steady around here, but down in the States, there's, like in Arizona and the southern states, the roping is really taking off down there. Like they got a lot of competitors going down there. But up here, the rough stock, I think our horses are a little too strong, honestly. Like, there's not many places you can go and get on horses that are kind of tapered down so you can kind of get a good start. They're really a lot stronger up here, yeah. I know one thing for certain up here is you cannot get the facilities up here anymore. Like we used to have a rodeo arena at the head of the lake we used to always go and practice at.
There is a possibility of making an excellent living. The top cowboy last year made $419,000.
Well, probably the middle run cowboy, he could make his living, $40,000, $50,000 a year at it. Yeah. And you get your sponsors in there to sure help you. Yeah. It sure looks like it on paper now, with the corporate sponsors sponsoring some of these cowboys.
But just how do you interest Aboriginal youth in developing roping, riding, and rodeo skills?
Yeah, I think that the rodeo came about from our experience with horses, and I think that's where it needs to start. If we're going to have kids becoming interested in rodeo, you got to have that connection with horses first, and I think that is something that our family has has done a good job of. Everybody, doesn't matter, even if you've stepped away from rodeo, you've always have access to horses, and I think that'll help keep our rodeo tradition alive.
You're never too old to start rodeoing. Blaine's dad and Ben and Jay's grandfather, Ben Lewis, was 70 years old when he began his rookie season in roping competition.
In the early 80s, we went to Hobbema, Alberta. It was a brand new facility, and it was going to be the next biggest, best place to rodeo was at Hobbema Indoor Agriplex. And I remember going over there and my grandpa being entered and my Uncle Vaughn and all of our, I think my dad and Blaine and Cecil and I think Charlie were all in the saddle bronc riding there. So yeah, the whole bunch of us were there, and it was kind of funny to see my grandpa at his first big finals, and he's 70 years old. But yeah, he was real. My grandpa was real steady. He was real consistent. He was always focused on what he was doing, and I think it showed because he practiced so much at a later age in his life. But because he was such a hard worker his whole life, when he finally come to doing something that was fun, his work ethic just kind of carried over into his new thing that he started to do.
Perhaps the great days of the Indian Cowboys are a thing of the past, but the pride, the skills, and the history will live on in families like the Lewises. When you think about an Indian cowboy, it is truly a bridge between two cultures.